Las Vegas, summer 2025. This should be the most vibrant time of year, where neon lights never dim and every hotel lobby echoes with greetings from around the world. But tonight, that hall is empty. There are no Japanese tour groups queuing up. No German couple is arguing about a map. No group of Korean students took a selfie by the fountain. There are only empty chairs, empty rooms, and a hollowed-out economy. And that's just a part of America in 2025. US hotel capacity plummeted. RevPAR plummeted. Numerous chains had to cut staff, postpone projects, and even offer long-term rentals just to survive. This is no longer a declining tourism industry. This is a domino effect spreading to every corner of America. And the biggest question now isn't when we'll recover, but whether we're still a global destination. Stay. Hold on tight, because in the next few minutes, you're going to see an America that the media doesn't want to talk about. An entire $2.3 trillion economy is operating to welcome guests who will never arrive. Sounds like a sarcastic joke? No. That is the reality of the American hotel industry in 2025. Hotel occupancy rates across the United States are now only about 63.3%, lower than during the 2008 financial crisis. To put it more simply, out of every 10 hotel rooms across the United States, nearly 4 are unoccupied. RevPAR, revenue per available room, decreased, with demand growth nearly stagnant. Room prices might inch up a few dollars due to inflation, but total revenue is still plummeting because no one is booking rooms. Chains that were once confident in expanding are now having to postpone plans, cut staff, and even convert hotels into long-term apartments to avoid losses. The hospitality empire is now like a luxurious yacht, anchored in the ocean with no passengers stepping onto the deck. If you think empty rooms are just a small problem, you're probably mistaken. In reality, hotels are not just overnight accommodations. They are a barometer of the American experience economy. When no one rents the rooms, a series of downstream links also die. Restaurants have empty tables, taxis have fewer rides, and insurance and international conferences all decline. Without international visitors, the US lost over $12.5 billion in direct spending, leading to a ripple effect loss of $64 billion, equivalent to the entire GDP of a state like Maine. The problem isn't that Americans are going out less, but the world is choosing to go elsewhere. Canada promises easy procedures. Europe is expanding visa-free travel. Asia launches a hassle-free welcome campaign. Meanwhile, we're erecting more bureaucratic hurdles, increasing fees, and sending a subtle message. Don't come here unless you really need to. A domino chain can collapse through empty hotel rooms in a way that ordinary people can hardly imagine. When lodging taxes decrease, the city budget is cut. When tourists don't come, the work disappears. From the housekeeper in Miami to the senior manager in Chicago, everyone felt this blow. In New York, over 120 hotels have been converted into temporary housing. In Miami, 4-star hotel chains are offering staycation packages cheaper than the cost of renting an apartment, just to have someone stay overnight. An empty room isn't just a loss. It's an erosion of trust. It says that America is no longer as attractive as it used to be, that the American dream is now sitting at the front desk, and no one is coming to check in. And the scary thing is, this is just the tip of the iceberg. If even the colossal hotel industry is at risk of collapse, can you imagine what's happening on more vital fronts, where every dollar depends on international guests? Hold on tight to your seat. The next part will make this story even more thought-provoking. If Las Vegas, the city designed to never sleep, is taking a nap, then the whole United States is probably in a daze. Las Vegas was once a symbol of prosperous America. This city that never sleeps operates at nearly 95% hotel capacity in the summer. meaning there's hardly a single empty bed left on the Las Vegas Strip. But in the summer of 2025, that number dropped to 66.7%. In other words, if 20 hotels were brightly lit before, now nearly 7 of them have dimmed their lights. International visitors decreased by 41%, and the average room rate plummeted to USD 163 per night, a level rarely seen in 2 decades, a decrease of 16%. Even casino revenue, the economic heart of Vegas, fell 15% short of expectations. This story isn't just about fewer tourists. It's a clear sign that the engine that once powered the entire American travel machine is slowing down. Why is the Vegas light slowly fading? Part of the reason lies outside of Vegas. Higher visa costs, more complex entry procedures, and stories of people being held at the airport spread across social media. And as the image of America shifted from the land of the free to a risky destination, European and Asian tourists, who once spent thousands of dollars a night at baccarat tables or Michelin-starred restaurants, simply stopped coming. What's the result? No longer are there high rollers from Singapore or Shanghai. Tables that were once busy now have only a few locals betting a few dozen dollars. With no customers from the airport to the hotel, taxi drivers sit for hours without a fare. No longer the lavish dinner parties of the European elite, restaurants are having to offer buy one get one free promotions to fill empty seats. A casino manager stated bluntly, "We are no longer adjusting the plan. Now it's about restructuring to survive." Las Vegas is a bellwether for the entire tourism industry. If this place can't keep up the pace, imagine what's happening in smaller destinations. Cities without a strip, without neon lights, and without global brands. A bitter satire is circulating in the travel investment community. Vegas used to lose at the casino. Now it's losing at the front desk too. The thought-provoking question is this a temporary decline, or a sign that America has lost what once made it so attractive? If even the world's entertainment capital can't attract tourists, can smaller cities survive in an era where the world has lost its enthusiasm for the American dream? Think carefully. Because if Vegas, the heart of American tourism, is losing its rhythm, the rest might soon stop beating. If Las Vegas is the entertainment heart of America, then Hawaii was once its vacation soul. But that soul is now empty. Imagine you're standing on Waikiki Beach on a July morning. The waves are still crashing on the shore. The sun is still shining brightly. The palm trees still swayed in the wind. But one thing disappeared. People. No more Japanese tour groups lining up at ABC Store. No more Korean tourists taking photos at Diamond Head. No more cheerful laughter in the coastal resorts. The stark truth: the number of Japanese tourists, once the backbone of Hawaiian tourism, has decreased by over 50% compared to pre-pandemic levels. Airlines have cut over 250 flights between Tokyo and Honolulu in just 6 months. A family restaurant that once served over 200 Japanese customers daily now only has about 30, and not a few shops, after over 26 years of operation, have had to close permanently. Heaven doesn't disappear, but tourists do. The reason sounds simple, but it's a deep cut into Hawaii's economy. Asian tourists are choosing Guam, Thailand, or Bali. Same beaches, same sunshine, but cheaper, easier to enter, and without the risk of being held at the airport. Cumbersome visa policies, strict border control stories, or simply escalating travel costs, all of these factors make Hawaii no longer the first choice. A Japanese restaurant owner in Honolulu shared, "They told me, why pay double to come to America when you can still swim at a more beautiful beach in Phuket?" That question may sound small, but it is the key to this collapse. Hawaii once lived off of tourists. It's not just hotels and resorts. It's also small seaside cafes, taxi drivers, housekeepers, and the entire community that relies on tourism revenue. More than 4,000 jobs in the restaurant industry have disappeared since 2019. Many families are leaving the island because they can no longer afford to pay rent. Some hotels are partially converting into long-term apartments, something that was unthinkable in the past. The price of an empty paradise is not just measured in money. It's measured in the delayed futures of thousands of people who once believed they would build their lives here. Hawaii was once likened to America's living postcard, a perfect image that the world dreamed of. But now, it's like a beautiful oasis off the global tourism map. Tourists don't have to hate this place, they just simply forgot about it. A satirical saying is circulating in the tourism industry. You can't sell a ticket to paradise if no one remembers it anymore. The question is, if even Hawaii, a destination once coveted by the entire world, is being forgotten, what awaits expensive, smog-filled, and less appealing cities like New York or Chicago? Has the world found a new paradise? And is America only an option if nothing better is available? In the next part, we'll go to the city that never sleeps, where the collapse is measured not just in money, but in the honor of a superpower. If Las Vegas is the heart of the entertainment industry, Hawaii is the soul of relaxation, then New York is the brain of American tourism. And that brain just lost its memory. New York used to be the #1 destination in the world, the city of Times Square lights, of morning coffee in Central Park, of expensive dinners on the 50th floor overlooking Manhattan. But in 2025, something disappeared. Humans. 3.1 million international visitors vanished from the city in just 1 year. They didn't go anywhere else in the US. They went elsewhere in the world. And as they left, they took with them $4 billion, not decreasing, not slowing down, but completely disappearing from the city's economy. Imagine that $4 billion as a river that once nourished everything from hotels to restaurants, from taxis to Broadway. Now that river is dry, and the boats that depended on it are stranded in the middle of Manhattan. Reason? It's not too complicated. International tourists spend 3 times more than domestic tourists. They didn't just rent a room, they booked a suite. It wasn't just dinner, they ordered a $1,000 bottle of wine. It wasn't just shopping, they cleared out the Louis Vuitton store. And when those guests didn't arrive, the domino effect collapsed. 5-star hotels that were fully booked 3 months ago are now only operating at 40% capacity and are considering renting rooms by the month like apartments. High-end restaurants are reducing staff and changing their menus to offer more affordable dishes in order to attract local customers. The taxi waited all morning without a single customer. Broadway had to reduce the number of performances because there were more and more empty seats. A hotel manager in Midtown sighed. "We used to not have enough rooms for the group from London. Now we don't even have enough guests to open the entire floor." New York was once likened to a beacon of America. Always bright, always vibrant, always alluring. But when international tourists turned away, that light faded. The once crowded streets are now as deserted as a Monday morning after a snowstorm. A sarcastic saying is circulating among investors. The city that never sleeps now has to set an alarm to wake up and pay off its debts. And when the tourism economy collapses, the consequences don't stop there. It's not just the hotel industry that's suffering. When $4 billion evaporated, city taxes plummeted, and budgets for schools, security, and transportation were also affected. The Midtown area, once the lifeblood of New York tourism, now feels like an oxygen-deprived body, barely surviving on every dollar from domestic visitors. And the question isn't when New York will recover. The question is, will the city still be a symbol of the world if the world no longer wants to come? Because if a city like New York, where every street corner is a tourist brand, can't retain visitors, what will happen to small towns that depend on every penny from international tourists? And more importantly, has the world stopped looking for the American dream in Manhattan to find it in more accessible places? Keep that thought in mind, because in the next part, we'll delve deeper into the real consequences, where this collapse hits every meal, every bill, and every American family directly. Maria Santos, a female employee who has cleaned rooms at a Miami beachfront hotel for 15 years. She knew every small scratch on the wooden cabinet, every ray of light that filtered through the curtains. But this morning, instead of pushing a cleaning cart, she was waiting in line for unemployment benefits, along with over 50,000 other tourism workers across the United States. Maria's story is not an exception. It's a slice taken from a giant painting. When international visitors disappeared, the tourism industry didn't just lose money, it lost people. Tens of thousands of hotel staff, restaurant servers, drivers, security personnel, etc. were laid off. A series of hotels had to redefine themselves, converting rooms into affordable apartments, offering long-term rentals, or closing down completely. Those who live on tips, which can cover utility bills or university tuition, now have to count every penny of unemployment benefits. When the hotel closes, it's not just the housekeeping staff who lose their jobs. The taxi has no more fares. Restaurants around the tourist area are empty, and they have to reduce their opening hours. Souvenir shops are closing down in droves. Even the nearby supermarket chain saw a drop in sales because no one was buying water or food for their vacation anymore. Imagine, an empty hotel room means a shift disappears. A cancelled trip is a dinner no one cooks, a taxi no one calls, a souvenir no one buys. And like any other domino effect, when the first tile falls, the whole line behind it will follow. The once bustling tourist streets now resemble a post-apocalyptic film. Shops are closed. For lease signs hang every place, and restaurants that once had hours-long waiting lists are now forced to offer happy hour discounts. A restaurant in Orlando that used to serve 300 customers each night now only has 40. The owner quipped sarcastically, "We don't need a cash register anymore because there's nothing to calculate." The streets that were once the pride of the American middle class, where they worked, raised their children, and held their hopes, are now silent, as if someone just pressed the pause button on life itself. Behind the unemployment figures are everyday decisions. A child who can't go to university because their parents lost their jobs. A family had to move out of the house they had lived in for 20 years. A retiree had to go back to work part-time because their pension wasn't enough when prices rose. This collapse is not just economic, it's a social earthquake. Unlike all earthquakes, the cracks spread over time. The question is this the price to pay for an economy that is overly dependent on international tourism? Or is it a warning that when we erect too many barriers with the world, it will be ordinary people who bear the brunt of the consequences first? And the deadliest blow is yet to come. It's forming right at the border crossing, where a single policy could decide the future of the entire economy. You know what's scarier than an expensive plane ticket? It's the feeling of spending thousands of dollars to fly halfway around the world, only to be asked to explain why you're here. Welcome to America in 2025, where the entry process is no longer welcoming but more like an interrogation. 13 countries have issued official warnings to their citizens about traveling to the United States. Canada even published a survival guide for crossing the border. Germany warns that having a visa does not guarantee entry. He advises tourists to prepare for unexpected and lengthy inspections. And in the meantime, the new policy requires an additional $250 visa integrity fee, a surcharge that many people sarcastically call the administrative version of a Disneyland entrance fee. Look at the numbers: $12.5 billion in international tourism spending lost just this year. Each foreign visitor used to spend an average of $4,000, and when millions decided not to come anymore, tens of billions of dollars evaporated from the US economy. But it's not just about money. An international medical conference held in the US for 20 years has decided to split the event, half in Boston, half in Toronto. Universities are reporting a significant drop in international student numbers. They're choosing Singapore or London because it's less hassle. FIFA is concerned that half of the expected number of fans for the 2026 World Cup will not show up. If tourists once considered the US a once-in-a-lifetime destination, they now consider once enough. We don't build brick and stone walls, but we build other walls: paperwork, fees, procedures, questions. And each piece of paper, each tiny line of text on the visa application form, is an invisible brick pushing tourists away. Meanwhile, the world doesn't stand still. Canada promotes faster entry procedures than a morning cup of coffee. Europe expands its visa-free list. Southeast Asia is launching the Welcome with a Smile campaign, welcoming tourists with smiles instead of questionnaires. A travel expert quipped, "We used to sell the American dream. Now we're selling entry application forms." The world has discovered that they don't need America to have amazing experiences. When trust is eroded, it doesn't come back easily. And once people get used to going to Toronto, Singapore, or Lisbon, they might never come back. The real question isn't when American travel will recover. The question is, are we creating a new generation of tourists? People who never thought of coming here in the first place? And if so, the empty hotels, deserted restaurants, and sleepy cities of today may not be a temporary phenomenon, but the new normal. We've gone through the journey of a strange summer together. Las Vegas, the city that never sleeps, now has to dim its lights and lower room prices. Hawaii, a vacation paradise, now resembles a forgotten oasis. New York, the economic heart, lost billions of dollars just because the world visited. And finally, the visa wall is erecting invisible boundaries, pushing millions of tourists to the other side of the ocean. This isn't just about travel. This is a test of America's adaptability. Because in an open world, power doesn't lie in what you control, but in whether others want to come to you. An empty room isn't just a night of losses. It's a message. We've stopped dreaming about you. And that's more frightening than any economic crisis. So, what do you think? Is this the inevitable consequence of overly strict policies? Or is it just a natural cycle that all tourism economies go through? And most importantly, will America be brave enough to open up before the world locks down forever? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. I'm really interested in hearing your perspective, whether you agree or disagree. If you find this video helpful, please click like to help the video spread. Press subscribe to not miss in-depth analyses of the US economy, politics, and society. And don't forget to comment so we can continue this conversation. This video is not intended to attack any individual or organization. This is an analytical perspective based on public data and actual developments, with the aim of stimulating constructive thinking, debate, and dialogue. All views shared here reflect only personal perspectives and do not represent any official organization or agency. Thank you for staying until the end. See you in the next videos.